Well, I'm glad we have the other representatives. Exactly.
We'll have to figure out what that is
Exactly.
later on.
We'll have an acronym for it, I'm sure. So thanks for the introduction. I'm glad to be here. I think the NGO community plays sort of a special role in all of this. A lot of times, and now I have the other choking. I'm so sorry. So it's difficult being the other. For the NGO community broadly, when people are talking about public-private partnerships, that is unique unto itself. You have the government working with companies, that's special. But the NGO community brings a whole different perspective, which I'll get into a little bit. I think both bringing credibility, bringing technical expertise, there's a number of other elements, and I'm always happy to be invited to these sort of panels because I think it sometimes maybe gets forgotten. So WWF, a lot of people know us because of the panda and the logo, but they don't necessarily know so much more than that. So yay for branding. The main takeaway with mission statements are always very ethereal. This one really about our global reach as an organization, and then really the foundation in science. And I think those are the two pieces that really bring that trust that we've all been talking about, that I'll talk about a little bit more. This very busy slide really gives you sort of examples of what I was just talking about. So 100 countries. We have offices in 100 countries, so we are a global organization that activates very locally. And then our member base. So within the United States, we have 1 million individual members, and globally 6 million. So sort of that boots on the ground, getting thoughts and minds of people is how we get our work done. So the areas where we focus, this is how our organization, WWF, both globally in our network, the network offices, and then WWF US is organized. So this is how people think of us, right? We activate in protecting, preventing deforestation or oceans, freshwater conservation, and then cutting across these 6 areas is the team I work for, private sector engagement, as well as government and marketing and communications. What we do, we serve as sort of within private sector in particular, but the government team does the same thing. As a sort of one single point of entry. So again, having that opportunity to not have to navigate 6 different areas, I don't know where to come in, I don't know who to engage with, but rather you have that one point, that one individual that helps you navigate the US, helps you navigate the global network of WWF offices. And that builds trust, that builds communications, all the things you've been seeing on the other slides is baked into this. Now, as I was saying, the importance of the NGO community being involved in all of this, the NGO sector is one of the few sectors that is maintaining an increasing level of trust. I'm not saying anything negative about how people think about companies, and certainly not government these days, but the fact that the NGO community does maintain that level of trust, I think supports that. This is a complete brag slide. So this is just showing when asked across the board, this is green biz, so asking companies whom they trust when thinking about influence and credibility, we rank right up there at the top, and we're pretty proud of this, so we always throw them. Cute lions. So this is how we work. There are 3 main, the private sector engagement team within WWF, there are 3 fundamental ways that we work with companies. So number 1, we do these large transformational partnerships, and that's the type of thing that I lead with companies like CocaCola and Walmart. And the way we do that is engaging in fundamental aspects of how they're sourcing or how they're running their operations. And we work not only with the CSO, with the Chief Sustainability Officer within the organization, but we try to embed much deeper, both because we have that foundation in science, and so we have those technical leads. And as I was saying, I am the single point of entry for some companies, but they are working across all the different, all of these different groups that you saw before within our freshwater team, within our food team. So they have one-on-one relationships, but then when they need to bring it up to a higher level, I'm able to do that and engage in all of these different areas. On the top left, corporate philanthropy. So this is a way that a company who has a foundation could donate money. So this is purely philanthropic. It can sort of feed back into the supply chain of the company. But in doing that, they're investing in long-term in some fundamental area where WWF is focused. So renewable energy buyers principles, for example. So this is, no one company is going to figure out how renewables works and how to work with utilities, but we are able to have that convening power. We bring together a number of different not only companies, but the utility sectors and government organizations, everyone together, and then we are able to have an impact within one space. And I'll give you an example of how we're doing all of this with Coca-Cola. And then lastly is consumer engagement. So once you've built that trust, how do you do a licensing agreement, or how are you able to motivate or mobilize an entire consumer base? So an example of this is Apple. So we partnered with Apple on around our, as part of our forest team. They invested within China for protecting over 1 million acres of sustainably forested wood. So this will feed into a packaging supply chain. So that was the start of the work that we were doing with Apple, and then building on that, so now we have this relationship, we did apps for Earth. So last year around Earth Day, we took over the App Store, and it was so cool. So if you went to the App Store, and this was, for 10 days only, and I wish I spent that entire day talking to everybody I knew and saying, just open the App Store. It was all green, and one would be concerned with greenwashing. However, there were educational opportunities behind that, as well as just basic cause marketing, where we were able to get money from $8 million was raised over that 10-day period, because everybody who bought anything from those apps or either in-app buying opportunities, in-app purchases, all came to us. Now that would have been greenwashing if we hadn't already done that initial piece of work, but then we were also able to do all these other great things. I mean, you know, people who, the Jenner sisters, I don't know that much about what millennials are on their apps. I need to know more about that. But they were able to have, so people who maybe aren't our regular demographic were starting to learn about issues around deforestation by going to what the Jenner sisters are doing. So let me quickly finish up with just talking about Coca-Cola and how we're doing all of those 3 prongs with Coca-Cola. Now, we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary for our partnership work with Coca-Cola. So it is, first and foremost, a transformational partnership. We're working on water issues. Water is a huge risk for them, both from a supply chain risk as well as a reputational risk. They need to ensure that the water that is 90% of the ingredients of their product is maintained. So we've been working with them on freshwater preservation issues, as well as efficiency within their bottling plants. But then also when you look at sustainable agriculture, their spend for sustainable agriculture is twice that of their marketing spend. So it's approximately $15 million. So they are very much focused on their sustainable agricultural guiding principles, and we have technical leads in all the different areas to help them build that out. And then philanthropic. We are looking broader around the entire supply chain. We are working with their procurement teams. We are working with their bottlers within all of the different locations where they are. They talk about being in 190 countries, and we have offices in all of those spaces, so that the trust is at a very local level. We're able to help grease the skids on some conversations at the corporate levels and with headquarters, and both here and in Atlanta, but they're able to really do the work that happens on the ground. We also, over the course of the 10+ years that we've been working together, we started in 7 river basins. We moved to a different 11 river basins. But those seven that we initially started, many of them are still ongoing. Some with support from the foundation, some with support from the local bottlers. But it's a matter of everything is very, very localized and built on that innate trust. The last thing I'll say is just, I was talking about the cause marketing work. So a few years ago, we worked with them on Arctic homes. So they put polar bears on, they already have polar bears on their cans. We used that as an opportunity to educate about climate change and what was going on in the Arctic. So mobilizing their consumer base to educate them on things that we're working on together. The result of that was donations that came through for every can sold, but then also opportunities for matching funds, for corporate giving and in consumer individual giving. So this is an example of how trust and working together in one area helps to hold the hand of trust in building with the consumer base, with their bottlers, working with the entire system, and keeping the relationship going over numerous years. And that's all I have. I think we're taking questions.
Thank you very much, Judith. So I have a couple